Docker just crossed 92% adoption among engineers. It's the most widely used developer tool on the planet right now. And yet, most developers using it every day are still doing it wrong. Wrong layer order, containers running as root in production, health checks that silently lie, and a whole new chapter of Docker most engineers have not even seen yet. If you're new to Docker, this video gives you the foundation you actually need. Not just commands to copy, but the mental model to understand what is happening. And if you have been using Docker for years, stay with me. There are habits most experienced engineers have not updated. And Docker changed significantly in 2026. Let's get into it. Imagine 3 engineers on a team. One is on a Mac, one on Windows, one on Linux. Each has a slightly different Python version, different library versions, and slightly different configurations on their machine. The app works perfectly on one machine and breaks on another. And in production, it behaves differently from both. And you have probably lived this. It's called the works on my machine problem. And it has frustrated developers for as long as software has existed. The first serious attempt to fix this was virtual machines. The idea is elegant. Divide one powerful physical server into smaller virtual ones. Each virtual machine gets its own dedicated slice of CPU, memory, and storage. And each one runs its own complete operating system. So if everyone on your team spins up the same virtual machine, you will all have the same environment. Problem solved. Virtual machines worked. They became the backbone of cloud computing. But they carry a cost. Every single VM needs gigabytes just for the operating system. And booting one takes minutes. So if you're running 5 services, you're running 5 full operating systems simultaneously, all consuming resources just to exist. There had to be a lighter way. And that lighter way is containers. And here's the difference. Look at the left side. Containers. Multiple apps, each with their own libraries, but all sharing a single underlying operating system at the bottom. No duplication. On the right, virtual machines. Same apps, but each one sitting on top of its own full guest OS. A virtual machine image for a simple Python service can be several gigabytes. The equivalent Docker container is around 150 megabytes. A VM takes minutes to boot. A container starts in seconds. Docker is the platform that made all of this practical. Before Docker, working with containers required deep Linux expertise. Docker packaged the whole workflow, building, running, and sharing containers, into something any developer could pick up. 3 concepts you need to carry through everything else. The image is a packaged snapshot of your application and everything it needs to run. Think of it like a USB drive with your entire app already installed. Read only, built once, used many times. The container is the running instance of that image. When you start a container, Docker adds a thin writable layer on top of the image where the app can write files, logs, temp data, whatever it generates at runtime. Stop the container and that writable layer disappears. The image underneath is untouched, ready to go again. The registry is where images are stored and shared. Docker Hub is the public one. Most companies also run a private registry for their own images. When you type Docker run in your terminal sends that to the Docker daemon, the background engine doing all the actual work. The daemon checks if the image is on your machine. If not, it pulls it from the registry. Then it starts the container. That is the full loop. To create an image, you write a Docker file. It's a plain text file with a list of instructions. Each instruction tells Docker what to do. Use this base operating system, copy these files, run this command. Docker reads it top to bottom and executes each step in order to build the image. Once you have a Docker file, you run Docker build and Docker produces the image. That image is what you ship. Now that you understand how an image gets built, let's talk about 3 things most developers are still getting wrong when they write that Docker file. The first one is layer order. And this single mistake is responsible for builds that take a minute when they should take 3 seconds. Every instruction in a Docker file creates a layer. Each layer is a snapshot of what changed in that step. The files added, the packages installed. Docker stacks these layers on top of each other to form the final image. And here is why this matters. Docker is smart about rebuilding. Every time you build, it looks at each layer and asks, has anything changed since last time? If nothing changed, it reuses the cached version and skips that step entirely. The moment it finds a layer that changed, it throws away that layer and every layer above it and runs those steps fresh. So look at this Docker file. Say you change one line in your application code and rebuild. Docker sees that copy changed, so it throws away that layer and everything above it, which means pip install runs again. Every package downloads and reinstalls from scratch. A 60-second build even though your dependencies never changed. Now flip the order. Same code change, Docker checks requirements.txt, unchanged, cache hit. Pip install, the sticker underneath it has not changed. Cache it again. Only the last copy reruns. 3 seconds instead of 60. Same output, just smarter ordering. And so, put the things that change least, your dependency files, near the top. Put the things that change most, your application code, near the bottom. That is the rule. The second thing most engineers get wrong is running containers as root. By default, if you do not say otherwise, your application runs as the root user inside the container. Root is the most powerful account on any Linux system. It can read, write, and change everything. So if an attacker finds a vulnerability in your application and gets inside the container, they are root. That is a much more dangerous situation than if they had landed as a regular user with limited access. 2 lines fix this completely. Add them just before your CMD. This creates a user called app user with no special permissions and switches to it. Everything your application does from that point runs with minimum access it needs. Nothing more. The third thing is the health checks that lie, and this one catches people in production. Docker can tell you a container is running, but running just means the process is alive. It says nothing about whether your application is actually healthy. A container can show as running while the app inside has lost its database connection, silently dropped into an error state, or is accepting requests but returning failures on all of them. From Docker's perspective, healthy. From your user's perspective, the service is down. A health check fixes this. Every 30 seconds, Docker calls your health endpoint. 3 failures in a row and the container is marked unhealthy. Any orchestration platform sitting above Docker, such as Kubernetes, ECS, Cloud Run, uses that signal to automatically restart the broken container before anyone gets paged. Just make sure your health endpoint tests something real. Database connection, cache availability, not just that the process started. Those are the 3 fixes that most experienced engineers have never been told explicitly. Now let's look at what Docker is actually doing in 2026, because this is the part most Docker tutorials have not covered yet. Now, you just saw how Docker builds work, and if you have ever run a multi-stage build on a real project, a compiled language, a heavy dependency tree, a monorepo, you know exactly what happens next. You push, you wait. You fix one line, you push again, you wait again. Sometimes 10-15 minutes per build. And that's not even counting the time your CI runner spends spinning up from scratch on every single run. The problem isn't Docker itself. The problem is that most CI systems treat every build as if it's the first build. No persistent cache, no memory of what already ran. Every job starts cold. This part of the video is brought to you by Depot. Depot CI is the programmable CI system for engineers and agents. The architecture is fundamentally different from GitHub Actions. The compute layer underneath is durable, not ephemeral. Your job runs on infrastructure that stays warm between runs, so you are not paying the full setup tax every single time. And migrating is straightforward. You run Depot CI migrate and it analyzes your existing GitHub Actions workflows, copies them into a .depot folder, and you are done. No rewriting pipelines, no learning new syntax. On top of that, you get full observability into every job. What ran, how long each step took, where it failed. And when something does fail, you can SSH directly into the runner or replay from a specific step, which is a lot more useful than staring at log output and guessing. If your builds are slow and you want to try it, there's a free trial at depot.dev. Link is in the description. Most Docker tutorials stop at containers and compose, but Docker is not standing still. In 2026, it is becoming the default runtime for AI infrastructure. And 3 things change that are worth understanding. The first is how MCP servers work now. If you have been following AI tooling, you have heard of MCP, the Model Context Protocol. It is the standard that lets AI agents connect to tools and external services. One spec, any agent, any tool. Think of it as the USB-C of AI tooling. What Docker did is take the most popular MCP servers, GitHub, Grafana, MongoDB, Postgres, and more, and package each one as a verified, isolated container image in Docker Hub. Before this, running an MCP server meant installing packages globally on your machine, with no isolation between it and the rest of your system. Now it runs in a container. Same security model you already use for your application services. You can inspect it, put resource limits on it, stop it with a single command. If something goes wrong, it is contained. The second change is how you run AI models locally. Docker Model Runner lets you pull open-weight AI models directly from Docker Hub and run them on your own machine with an API that looks exactly like the OpenAI API you are already familiar with. 5 years ago, your Compose file had 3 services: app, database, cache. Today, you can come add a fourth, your own local AI model. Same Docker Compose up, same networking, same mental model you already have. Your application talks to the model at a local URL. The data stays on your machine and nothing goes to an external API. The third change is about base images, and this one affects everyone. Supply chain attacks, where malicious code is slipped into a software package before it reaches you, have become one of the most common ways production systems get compromised. And your base image is the first dependency in every container you build. When you write from Python 3.11 Slim, you're trusting whatever is in that image on the day you build. The problem is that tag is mutable. The maintainer can push an update and your next build silently pulls something different from what you tested. The fix is to pin your base image by digest instead. A digest is the fingerprint of the exact image. It never changes. Your build today and your build 6 months from now produces the same result, regardless of what anyone pushed to the tag in the meantime. Docker now ships over 1,000 hardened base images, minimal, production ready, with near zero known vulnerabilities, built on Debian and Alpine, freely available to everyone. Docker is not just for application services anymore. The same mental model, pull an image, run it, wire it up in Compose, now applies to AI models and AI tools as well. That is a meaningful shift if you're building anything in that space. Let me know if you want to go deeper. We can work on a full Docker masterclass on this channel, from bare metal to fully containerized, production hardened stack, step by step. In the meantime, do subscribe to ByteMonk for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.